The prominent voice of the House of Assembly has relinquished his role as Speaker of the new Legislative House of Assembly after nearly 9 years of service. Yesterday, the emotional farewell by the Speaker of the House, Honourable Atapana Siakimotu, was felt by many in the community around the island, with questions as to who will fill the enormous gap left by Honourable Siakimotu. Today, we caught up with the Speaker about his role in the House of Assembly. He said there are many things that created his role, and most will be the lessons and his contributions into the smooth running of meetings and the establishment like that of implementing the time frame for each member of the House to speak, making sure that each member has an allocation time for his views for discussions, and controlling the meeting, as well as anticipating the responses of members. Some of the hardest aspects of his role is controlling the meeting, but it's your knowledge of the Niue Constitution that will determine your ability to control. Honourable Siakimotu said he has enjoyed his time immensely, and he is not leaving because of animosity within the House or any other issue. Rather, he felt it was time for new contributions to develop and enhance the Assembly's capacity in decision-making. With rumours around the mill that he will enter politics this year, Honourable Siakimotu said there is no plans for politics as yet, but he might look into it in the future. Even though he gave up his role yesterday, he is still expected to continue as the Speaker of the House until the new government elect a new Speaker for the new Legislative House of Assembly. Staying with the Whalefono and Niue House of Assembly, the last sitting of the 13th Assembly meeting took place yesterday, with most members present thanking their constituents and the people for their support in their last 3 terms in government. No members advised if they intend to step down in their roles, which will make for a very interesting general election. Only the Speaker of the House. Only 5 members of the House were absent. The dissolution of Parliament was also announced for the 8th of April and the general election to be held on the 7th of May. We wish him all the best wishes for the future. A sigh of relief was felt by importers as the Forum Pacific pulled into port yesterday. This latest delay has once again struck a nerve with importers and exporters alike, questioning the commitment of the shipping line to its agreement and services to Niue. A complaint has been received by the Chamber of Commerce, who say the matter is now in discussion with the committee, and no formal comments could be given until the return of the President of the Chamber of Commerce. Frustrations over the reasons given for the delay have also not been received well. One importer went as far to say that this is a breach of the shipping contract between Reef Shipping and the Niue government, as there has been no boat for over 6 weeks, and this is also not good for business. Premier Talangi says that in light of the agreement signed with the shipping company, there are no provisions for compensation for losses incurred due to shipping delays, and the reason given for the delay was due to a tropical cyclone, natural disasters outside of their control. But what importers want is a guarantee that Reef Shipping will provide a consistent and reliable shipping schedule for Niue. Today, Niue Hospital received one much-needed equipment to assist with some of its daily operational requirements. Director of Health Anne McLean said the hospital is very fortunate with the new machine.
It's wonderful that the Water Committee has got together and made that a priority. A nebulizer, we have a lot of children on the island, or a lot of people with chest conditions, particularly asthmatics, and this is a nice portable nebulizer, and it means that we could send the child home to have the nebulizers at home so they can stay at home with their family but have that key piece of equipment at home with them. So it's very beneficial for the community to have this extra piece of equipment.
She said that she is also pleased because of the tremendous benefits to the community.
How frequent does the hospital use a nebulizer?
We would probably use it most weeks, but certainly when a child has severe asthma, they will need to be on a nebulizer for over a period of a few days, maybe 3 to 4 hourly. The nebulizer puts medication into their lungs via vapour and helps clear their bronchus so they can breathe. So for a child with acute asthma, they may be on a nebulizer up to a week. And it now means that instead of them having to come and stay in a foreign environment in the hospital, they can actually stay at home and still have the treatment they need.
And lastly, how much does it cost?
The nebulizer is $600. It's a very expensive piece of equipment for the size of it, and often health equipment is usually very expensive. So it's really good to have that piece of equipment donated to us, because otherwise we may not have been able to purchase it.
That is the Director of Health, Anne McLean. Niue's Community-Centred Sustainable Development Projects, or CCSDP, are under review this week with the arrival of a monitoring and evaluation advisor from UNDP. This week, Ms. Guri has met with various stakeholders to evaluate progress and note lessons learned from the pilot sites of Hakupu and Tuapa, which have been positive and encouraging.
I have been to Hakupu yesterday, and I have interacted with a few other stakeholders of the project, which include the government functionaries as well as the minister and the secretary of the Department of Community Affairs, and of course the people and the community of Hakupu, including the CBOs, the village councils, the women groups, the youth groups. So far the response has been quite encouraging, and the project has been able to initiate that process of bottom-up planning, of that process where the community has that ownership of programs, and where the community has actively participated in planning their own development processes. And this is what we were looking at when we envisioned this project, that the project should be able to initiate that process. So in a way, it's been a very positive response so far. In terms of processes, I still have to visit Tuapa this afternoon, but in terms of Hakupu, the interaction that I have had with them and with the Department of Community Affairs, as of now the project seems to have progressed quite well. In terms of strengthening the processes of strengthening the collectivism, the community participation, the ownership of the project, in terms of taking forward the intervention, well, the main intervention in the project was to support livelihoods, and there are instances in Hakupu where people have got into organic farming, and they have got into developing a small motel which they rent out on a regular basis, and the process has been initiated, and that was the basic purpose of this project, to initiate these processes, to see these interventions and to replicate when we have a bigger project.
She also said that the review is important to take stock of the current situation and how well strategies have been implemented, as well as interventions. They are also looking for modifications that can make the program more relevant and realistic. A meeting was also held with non-government organizations yesterday.
The idea of having this meeting was, A, to get a good perspective and response on how they view the CCSDP project, and secondly, if we are to have another phase of the project in Niue, then how could the different stakeholders contribute to making the project, the future project, more effective, because this was just a pilot project from which we were trying to learn from our experiences, and we were trying to learn from our interventions. And but if we are to have a second phase of this project, then what would be some of the interventions, and what would be some of the roles of the various stakeholders? Yeah.
The CCSDP project is a 4-year project that includes Niue, the Cook Islands, Samoa and Tokelau, with recommendations for the next phase.
Based on the recommendations and the experiences that we have, then UNDP would be in a better position to take stock of the situation and then decide what kind of interventions and in what form the next phase of the project will come, to what countries it would come, and what would be the coverage and what would be the interventions. But broadly, what I understand from these initial interactions and the meeting that I have had so far in Samoa and here, we are probably looking at a more integrated approach, a more integrated integrated development project, a more holistic project that is not just looking at livelihoods, but it is also looking at institutional strengthening at the grassroots, and at the same time we are also looking to a certain extent to strengthen the capacity building initiative of the government and the public sector reforms as well. So we hope to have a comprehensive and a holistic project as part of our learnings from this pilot phase.
Ms. Guri will depart the island tomorrow on her way to Tokelau to conduct similar reviews. Horticulture students of Niue High School are coming to terms with the loss of their class resources, with speculations from some that this may have been the result of careless acts by vandals or possibly human error. Sources say that the gate closing off the area was let open. Students returned to school this week to find that their beloved chickens had been mauled and killed by dogs. The chickens were gifted to the school by the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries to support students' studies and appreciation for integrated alternative farming in schools. How this will affect students' studies is yet to be seen. It is uncertain whether this was a deliberate act, but the matter is under investigation by the Niue Police Department. Now, those are the news stories that we have for you tonight and for this week. We do hope that you can join us again for our next news bulletin next week.